And good evening on the eve of the 2025 Bermuda Day Half Marathon Derby. We are actually just one sunrise away from the race. We continue our countdown to the Derby. I'm your host, Earl Basin. Joining me is none other than Larry Marshall. Larry, let me first ask you, of course, a night before the big race, what would you be going through around this time, if you were to be in the race?
Yeah, interesting question, and good evening to you. If you're a serious contender, the around this time is just kind of going through your head of what your plan is, and making sure you're relaxing, doing things easy. Truthfully, at this time, there's no magic, anything that you can do that will help you. You probably can do something that will hurt you, like trying to do some crazy recovery or extra loose type of situation, and something that you're not normally used to. So it's probably about a time where you can relax, talk with some family, but not too much, because if you are a contender, everyone wants to talk about it and strategy and those types of
Yes.
things, and you need a time to just be in your head, but then um you know not think about it as much also.
Sure. Um, what specific aspects of the Bermuda Day Half Marathon do you feel suited your running style best, and when did you kind of adapt your training to capitalize on those strengths?
Well, strength, and I would say, when I say strength, I mean endurance.
Hmm.
I could always hang with the speed runners, even if in track and field, but they couldn't hang with me when I kind of was, at the strength distances or the cross country
Right.
race, right?
Right.
And I just felt I could always hold a pace longer, and it
Hmm.
kind of just went into the way how my training went, and I'm a long run guy,
Right.
and all my training circulated around the long run every week. And a lot of times when you're a long run person, that's because you have that strength and or endurance and stamina to go with that. So I think the endurance part really suited me, because I like to get in the pace, and the half marathon was a good distance for me.
Sure. Now, the Bermuda Day Half Marathon, the atmosphere is truly unique. How did you harness that energy of the crowd and the significance of the day itself to fuel your performance during the race?
I think I was a little different. I had to try and block out the crowd. You have a lot of good, you have some bad too, and sometimes you hear the bad. I'm not, if I'm honest, like, and you remember what's said, but you have to kind of, I guess, the more I became a competitor, I
Hmm.
blocked out the noise, but you will still hear it. And I remember coming along, it was during I would say, the second half of Kevin Smith's reign, and
Yes.
up in Somerset people are for Somerset people. And it was Kevin or Jay at that time, and it was,
Right.
I don't care if it was young, but put that boy in school. Like you heard so many different things.
Yes.
But I realized I'm paying attention to those things, and I'm not really necessarily focusing at on. I was 18, 19,
Right.
those types of things. When I got to the last three times I was really serious with it, um, I was focused and blocked out a lot of those things. Even you heard it, but it was like I didn't hear it. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
Right.
to answer your question, on the flip side, you have to be careful and manage that, because the crowd can uplift you, and if you're not ready to, it can take you, and you go too fast and you're off your
Yeah.
pace.
Yeah.
And, it's happened before to many of people, including myself, where I may have just went a little too soon, or that mile was a bit faster than I should have ran during that at
Because of
that
the excitement. Yeah.
yes, the excitement. But in Ton, I would say it's like no other.
Yeah.
Just appreciate all the claps, the everyone, and Yeah, my family's in the song Cedar Avenue, and they just live for that moment where they bring you home, you're close to the end, and it does something for you. And even in my racing overseas when I was in college, competitive. Obviously, the US league is so super competitive. Everyone is faster or just as fast as you. Um, but the atmosphere is just different for me to go back out there.
Yeah, your mic's going in and out. I don't know if it. Yeah,
You know what I'm gonna do, Earl?
it goes low and then it comes up high and then it goes back low.
I'm just gonna do it.
Okay.
This will be better, right?
Yeah, that's better. That's
Yeah.
better. Sure, sure. Now, one of the things in Bermuda that we often talk about on the day, even leading up to the day, is the unpredictability of Bermuda weather often plays a factor in the race. What were some of the things you put in place to manage potential heat, humidity, wind, rain, whatever it was? How did you craft your training around ensuring that no matter what happened, what the weather was like on the day, you can get through what you had to get through that challenge?
Um, I think the only thing you can do is make sure you're training. At the end of
Mm-hmm.
the day, the fittest person for the most part will come out and do well, and that
Mm-hmm.
goes for at the front of the pack or even the casual or the runner that wants to get through. If they've been putting in the miles in November, December, and January, and they get through and they trust their training and they know that they got the miles under their legs, you're gonna go with it. And every year it's the same, right? Where it's cool, 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 and
Yeah,
then the second week in April, third week in April, it just gets humid.
right,
And I went for a run yesterday. I went for a run the last few weeks, and I'm saying, yeah, these guys are gonna struggle. It's just a blanket of
yeah, yeah,
humidity,
yeah,
especially first thing in the morning.
right,
And I was telling a friend of mine who I'm helping, just a small casual coaching.
right.
I said the best bet is that it rains, so you like really cool
That would break the
because
humidity. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and but I wouldn't want it to rain the night before and not the day off because
Well, if you look outside, some things are shaping up to get
yes,
some some water tonight.
yeah, and I don't think it's gonna rain tomorrow. So, and you to your initial question, you have to make the adjustment. Humidity, that means the time's not gonna be as fast for the most part.
Right,
You know what I mean? And you have to go off of feeling, but it's not gonna be a huge it shouldn't be a huge drift if or shift rather, sorry,
mhm,
if you've put the training in.
right.
And I think sometimes when you're hoping for best case scenario when you're not properly prepared, that's
Hmm.
when the elements can really, get to you. But I think the humidity is the biggest one.
Right.
Rain and wind,
Yeah.
it's gonna come, but at the end of the day, everybody's got to deal with it, just like with the humidity.
True.
Um, but you, you uh, the rain didn't bother me. The wind didn't bother me as much. Especially if you're in the international 10K in
Oh
January,
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so
No,
you're gonna
that's
get blown on the North Shore. So the 24th of May, or Bermuda Day run,
uh
really have. I think one time it was a bit of wind, and it still didn't compare to that.
right.
So it just comes down to the preparation, and if
Mhm.
you put the work in, you should be able to make adjustments. And at the front end, I think that's what happens the best. That you make the adjustments, and how are you feeling? Are you taking water? Do you have gels?
Right.
There's different types of things, but it's no magic secret. At the end of the day, it's just every April, mid-April, it's the humidity's just coming, and
Somebody hits a switch.
somebody hits a switch, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Looking back at your previous Bermuda Day half marathons, is there a particular moment or memory that stands out, especially meaningful or even challenging? And what did you learn from that experience?
Um, Early on, I was feeling early on. I can't remember the second or third time I ran. I think I was 17 when I ran my first one, so I still may have been a teenager.
Hmm.
And again, coming from Somerset, because then I came from Somerset every year.
Right.
I ran. I got to mile 3, the downhill at White Hill,
Uh huh.
and I was flying, and I felt good. And it was just way too fast, and it was a hard lesson to learn because I struggled for about 10 miles,
Hmm.
and I might have came like fifth, I think, or something like that, and it was painful. But I remembered, one, don't go too fast when you put that type of training in, and
Right.
two, stick to your paces. You know what I mean? And that's
Hmm.
something I didn't do. I think I was 15 seconds
Back.
ahead
Oh
of where
wow.
I should have been per mile,
Hmm.
of 10 seconds. And at that early stage is huge, right?
Right.
And once I hit the wall, I was like, oh man, this is good. It was a struggle, so I remember that.
Right.
On the flip side, the other thing, the year I won in 2007,
Right.
I took water by the Alberfeldy Nursery,
Hmm.
and I'm taking it, a little drink. I took
Right.
another drink. I relaxed, and I saw just the entrance to the East Broadway area.
Uh huh.
I just tossed my bottle and I said, "All right, oh, this is it. You gotta hold on." And the roar that came, it was like a series of roars that just happened
Right.
on Front Street, two or three places, Church Street, Cedar
Mhm.
Avenue.
Right.
It was just, but that initial, it was like a tunnel entering the city, and when I made the turn, like that, I will always remember that feeling.
Mm, mm. But you had, and then the other thing was controlling your emotions in it as well, because you know, with that, you start thinking, okay, I could go faster, or I should, let's give them a show.
But at that point, I was like, no, but you would have had to peel me off the road. Somebody would have caught me. I was just like, okay, nobody's catching you now. Like you can't
Right.
each your moment. Bermuda, they would have said, "Oh, this guy had a big lead and lost it."
Look,
I'll
yes,
never
yes,
forget.
yes.
But I wasn't. I think when I made the initial break at 8 miles,
Uh huh.
I was controlled, but not. I just felt good. To tell you,
Right.
the truth, I felt good, and I was like, no one will catch me unless my body breaks down.
Uh,
And I was grateful that the body finally, one time held up for me.
you had a few talks with it since, right?
Yeah, I'm had a few talks.
when you as a favorite, when you're in the race, obviously, you started off and you was a teenager, but you still had, people looking at you and so forth. But as a favorite, there's often a level of expectation. How did you manage that pressure leading up to the race day? And what was your primary goal for the event most of the time? Was it purely about the win or personal best, or just something else for you?
Well, the derby is about winning.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, for that part, it don't matter what the time is. How you do it. If you want to win, like I could have ran uh 2 minutes faster. If I didn't win, it would have been I wouldn't have I'd have been upset, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's about the win. I think managing the expectations or the pressure is really within yourself,
Right.
and again trusting what you knew. I think I started as a teenager, and then I went off to school. And I think out of the 3 years I ran collegiately, I ran the derby twice.
Right.
And that was the shift. I felt like I was running times at the shorter distance. None of those guys were older than me, but
Yes.
they weren't running at the 5K level. I was the fastest in Bermuda in the 5K at that time.
Mm-hmm.
At the 10K level, I think maybe Terrence Armstrong was running a 10K just faster than me, but he was on road. I didn't run a road one.
Mm-hmm.
So I had that confidence. I just couldn't train for a half marathon.
Right. Right.
I think the last 2 years, in particularly the year before I won, I was in super shape, and I just got sick 2 weeks before the Derby and never recovered.
Right.
And I think that was the fittest I've ever been in my life, and that was hard. Because I knew that I it was a good shot, and I was in actually better shape than the year I won. Um,
Mm,
but you so there's, I want to say, 3 or 4 years where I became from not a young guy, but no, this guy's time's right up there with everyone. And
mhm.
each year you don't get it, it becomes more and more difficult. And again, you have to block out the noise
Right.
because
Right.
love my people, but sometimes your people can be, yeah,
Yes.
it can
That's
be
sewer.
annoying.
That's
and
sewer.
and
Yeah.
I heard things of what they say to other people over the years before Jay
Hmm.
Donald won, and
Right.
even now with um my good mate Sean Trott. He
Yes.
spoke
Yes.
about it, and it's like, no one in the running community talks like that because we all respect the journey,
Right.
all respect the grind. Whether if you're gonna run a 2 hour and 35 minute race tomorrow, I respect that you got up for months and woke up in the morning, sometimes bad weather, and
Hmm.
turned over your feet day in and day out and got
Right.
ready for this. So it doesn't come from that. But there's people on the loudest. The loudest sometimes can be that, oh, that's it. You have to block out the noise.
Hmm.
But you get in your head. And
Yes.
the hard thing about things like the Derby Cup match is once a year.
Yes.
You got
Yes.
months and months of time in your head, and you have to be able to put it aside and trust, like I said, trust your training. And you know what you're doing at the 10K level, which for me, a lot of people race pre a lot of other half marathons,
Yes.
but I knew with what I could do in the long run and what I did at the 10K distance, that was what really worked for me.
Okay. All right. All right. Now, beyond the competition itself, what did participating in the Bermuda Day Half Marathon mean to you personally as a Bermudian athlete? And what message did you hope your performances sent to aspiring young runners on the island?
When I was competing, I just wanted to run, and it was a competitive race. I think now that I don't compete as like how I used to, and now having a family and having a son, and my son last year for Heritage Assembly spoke about me, and I was just like, wow, it really is something that is the community. So I think I have a greater appreciation for that now.
Hmm.
And when I do speak, I try to just say, sport can take you wherever you want,
Yeah.
and the derby can also help you with that. I think one of my first major write ups was when I think I was 16 or 17, still in high school, and they I had a write up from my May 24th debut, right?
Yeah.
And it put me out there, and a few more people saw me, and it didn't work out, but I believe a coach saw it and asked about me,
Hmm.
and it's just those little things that can happen.
Yes.
But also, just Bermuda Day, like it's for us, it's for our people, and it is probably one of the only events that brings everyone together.
Yeah.
With respect to the cycling race,
Right.
not many people can participate in it. The
Hmm.
parade, it doesn't seem to, you have a lot of people that's there, but as far as the competitors,
Yes.
and it spans the entire course of the island. So
Right.
there's people that may not come for the parade, they're definitely out watching the runners. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yes.
So it's a level of pride that you have, and it's just something that as a young runner or
Hmm.
distance runners, they'll see and say, I want to run and be on May 24th. And I was fortunate enough to see that, and remembering in the early 90s, just late 80s, Mike Watson and
Yes.
Mark Perry,
Uh-huh.
before Kevin Smith. Like I remember early times.
Yes,
His name,
yes.
what's his name? Tony
Matthew,
Ryan. Tony Ryan. I
Tony
remember
Ryan. Yeah,
some of
yeah,
those ones, and I was real young, but I just remember seeing it, and I remember seeing how serious it was. I mean,
yes, yes,
Mark
yes,
Perry one year he came second, and he
yeah.
started walking, and the look on his face, he was just exhausted. But I remember it. I don't know why.
Right, right.
And it's just something about it, and I think the committee, one of the things they do well is keeping the history and the pride of the event, and maybe a bit more of the education
Hmm.
can be put out there, you know what I
Right.
mean, and yeah, I don't know. Maybe I like to see a bit more of that, but the level of pride you have as a Bermudian to participate at a high level, and then see how it grows and through the next generation and stuff like that.
Right.
And I like to see more high quality performances, and I think we have to get it right at the junior levels first. But
Yes.
that's a conversation for a different day.
Yeah. 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 Um, what would be your advice for anybody coming out of the East End tomorrow? I only ask that because the race, the early part of the race is split up. I mean, you're coming out of St. George's, windy roads, got a few hills and so forth. Then you get to that first roundabout, and for a good a mile a bit, you got nothing but open with the airport and then the causeway itself. What would be your advice? How people should tackle that first part, that first quarter of the race?
Yeah, it's actually why I think since it's a big thing, which course you think is easier, right? I think the St. George's course is easier because of the flat start, right? You're three
Hmm.
miles plus of flat road with the sun at your back, right?
Yes.
But it's a perfect way for you to get into your pace. If you say you want to run 7-minute miles,
Hmm.
you have a flat start to get into a pace.
Yes.
Whereas when you're up in Somerset, it's a flight hill, Somerset Cricket Club. You come down, then you got Scour. Then you know what I mean? It's
Yes.
just it's hard to get into a groove because you
Right.
got the rolling heels and almost like every mile or half a mile is a rolling heel, right? Or
Yes.
upgrade.
Yes.
Um so I would say you're able to get into your pace, but
Hmm.
also be careful because you can get sapped into a full sense of security because you haven't met any heels yet.
Right.
And if you go too fast too soon, you will suffer.
Uh,
And that is consistent at any level. And you just have to be patient. But this gets you a it's a perfect opportunity for you to just roll into your pace and get
yeah.
settled.
I think coming out of the East End, I think a lot of people don't don't understand that first major heel off a Bay Corner. That one there doesn't stop until you get all the way to the top, and you don't, because of the turn, you don't see how much higher you have to go. And like you said, if you're going a bit too fast, that heel could take everything out of you. Because you got that first incline, a little flat, and then you got that next big giant mountain to climb.
Yeah, and also the distance, right? You got 9.5 miles, 9+ miles left.
Yes.
Once you get to 7, 8, 9 miles and a half marathon, that's when it starts to get to a different level. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Most of us would have ran a 10K. Okay, well, you can go 2, 3 miles after that, but
Right.
those last 4 miles become challenging. So if at the early part you're wasted a lot of energy, or
Hmm.
you're going it's gonna be hard for you. So I often advise people to be cautious because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you'll always be able to get it back if you're feeling good in the last 3 miles. You will overtake people because people will go out too soon.
Yeah.
People will fade every year. It will happen tomorrow too.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Well, thank you. I want to thank you very much, and again, congratulations on your win. You know,
Yes, thank you.
we don't often highlight because it's the one day, but I think, like you said, we need to educate people more of the history of this event, and those people that have actually gone on to win it. Um, but I want to wish you all the best for tomorrow. Enjoy the day. Will we ever get a chance to see you um, in the sneakers again, doing it at least one more time?
Yes. I had a goal of doing it this year. But it's interesting, right? I had some serious calf issues where I had to like walk, run. I couldn't even walk 2 minutes without being sore and whatnot. So I am running again. Long story
Uh-huh.
short, I'm just not ready for a lid of a half marathon yet.
Okay.
But I have a goal of running a full marathon before it's all said and done.
Uh-huh.
So I definitely am training and will be training, going forward. So
Okay.
I'm hopeful that, injury free. My body does feel good. Like I don't have much soreness, but
Right.
I'm not ready for a load of half marathon. I have to
Build
gradually
towards that. Yeah. Yeah.
where I want. And I want to train properly and not
Right.
just for me, the journey is extremely important. Is what's gratifying. You're gonna look at a lot of people tomorrow who they're able to celebrate their journey, whether they
Yeah.
started training in September or the new year.
Right.
They will be, it's a culmination of, yeah, and it's a level of satisfaction. So I don't want to skip that. I felt I started to rush and I'm like, if I can do 6 miles this week and 8.5 next week, then another 2.5. I'm saying you're rushing. And
Yeah.
it's a recipe for injuries, and
Mhm.
I would know that. I'm had a lot,
Right.
and but all that said, I will. It is a high priority goal to run the Bermuda Day Half Marathon next year
Sure. Sure.
and
Yeah.
be in good shape.
Good. Good. And we look forward to seeing you out there. I know. Just commenting on what you said, you'll see somebody who finishes 230th, and they're excited because they've actually accomplished their goal. Their goal was to you started something, finish it. Don't worry about the time, just finish it.
Yeah,
And
and
that's what we see.
it any marathon, half marathon, you see people that's like that, and it's just particularly special for Bermuda or to Bermuda because it's on Bermuda Day, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, enjoy the holiday, brother.
You as
Again,
well.
congratulations, and we'll get back with you because I do want to talk to you about that education part. That would be a good time to have a chat and bring in some more people and just discuss it and see where we could take it.
All right, cool. No
All
problem. I'm
right.
down for that.
Have
Thanks.
a good one.
All right,
Okay.
you as well.